bird's eggs, and or going sliding on the Sar, like he used to go to in the river. Sar means, my dear students, river, just for some adventurous activities, swimming and all things. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, now I always consider that all the books were nuisance, all are just bullshit for me, all are just a piece of junk for me now. So heavy to carry my grammar and my history of the saints means old people, the history books of or about the old people were old friends now, that I couldn't give up. So these are my old friends, but I couldn't give up. I couldn't leave these books, these information, this my language, everything. He is really wanting everything. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Cranky means, my dear, cruel. Cruel, a person who is without feeling, without heart, and especially some strict teachers are there who are without feeling, who are continuously beating students, who are continuously abusing or threatening or scolding students, such type of. Now when he told me that today is his last day in this town, and he would go apart from here, and by hearing the sound of these words, he forget, the friends forget all his cruelty, all his ruler like sticks that he used to beat us, and everything he forget. Poor man. And he was saying to the teacher how poor man means how unlucky person he was. It was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. Okay, so that was the reason that he is in this costumes, that today is his last day. And now I understood. Now I understood why the old man of the village was sitting there in the back of the room. Now I have understood that why all the village people who scarcely comes, who scarcely visit the school, now they have gathered to, they have get in the class, they are sitting at their places. It was because they were sorry to that they had not gone to school more. It was their way to thanking our master for the 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. And now they have realized, all the old people who used to come very seldomly, now they are regretting that they didn't come to school frequently. And now even they have come to pay respect to their teacher as well as their nation, which is now called no more their nation. Their nation is something different. Which is their nation? German. German is the now Germany they are learning, so their new nation is Germany. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. While I was wondering in my mind, while I was imagining, observing everything, then suddenly my name was called by M. Hamel, and it was my turn to recite, to speak, to give the answer. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the past participle all through? So now what was my turn? My turn was to give the rule, all the rules of the participles, which is so impossible to learn me, which is so difficult to learn me. I had to give the answer very loud and clear and without one mistakes, I think so. But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there. So I gave the answer. I just hodgepodge. I mixed up everything, and but I had given the answer. Holding on to my desk, my heart beating, and not daring to look up. And I was just looking at the ground side, and I was not having a dare to uplift my eyes, because I knew that I had done some mix. I have mixed up the answer. I heard M. Hamel say to me, "I wouldn't scold you, little friends. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time. I will learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out." Now, my dear student French, it's not our mistake. Actually, what we do, we postpone it has become our habit to postpone our work to the next day. That tomorrow we will go to school, tomorrow we will learn the chapter, tomorrow we will discuss about it, tomorrow I will bring this thing, tomorrow I will complete this task. So it has become our habit, we are habitual to of this, and it's not your mistake. And that's why now, because we always have seen that we have plenty of time, I'll learn it tomorrow, and now you see where we have come out, and now you can see that by saying tomorrow, 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 now tomorrow is what? Tomorrow we have to learn a new thing from the new beginning. Oh, that's the great trouble with Alice. That is the main problem that Alice is facing. She puts off learning till tomorrow, and now she is used for the Alice country. Here, the the Alice is personified by giving attributes of female she. She puts off, as we call the India is our mother. Yes, it is a form of mother, or like we consider the Indian land is our motherland. That's why she puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there will have to write to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen? So now the people who are standing outside, and those people who will come from different part of the Germany, they will come to you or ask you, how is it? And you will have to say that you are a Frenchman. You have to pretend, you have to behave like you are Frenchman, and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language. And what would happen in the future when everybody will speaking in French language, and you would be not able to speak yourself, and you will pretend, you have to pretend like Frenchman, but you are not able to speak and learn or write because you even don't know your own country language. Neither write nor write, neither write nor read. But you are not the worst, poor little French. We have all great deal of reproach ourselves with. We have to reproach means blame. This word also come at the first page. So this is the meaning of blame. We have to not. This is not your fault. It's our fault. We have to blame ourselves that we are got failed to sustain our country, to save our country. There is something our mistakes. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. Actually, this is our mistake that you are not able to learn or read and write just because of, especially your parents. They didn't want, they were not worried. Anxious means, dear students, worry, tense. They were never seen tense or related to your study. They prefer to put you to work on a farm at the mills. Now they didn't prefer you to send you in the school. They prefer you to send you in for working as a labor in the farm or as a mill, or especially in the mill, so as to have a little more money. So the motto to send you in such type of working places to get some money. And I now here the teacher is also repenting, also cursing himself that he also never did a good work for him. What he's saying that I have been so as to have a little more money, and I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lesson? And it is also my mistake that sometime what I have done, I used to send you to watering my plants, to go to the garden and watering each and every plant. So instead of studying, instead of teaching you, I used to send you at the garden to watering. And when I wanted to go for fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? And whenever I thought that I should go to sorry for fishing, then what happened, I just take a holiday, just I announce a holiday for all the students, just because of myself, just because of my interest. I used to keep holidays and the school remained closed, and it was also my fault. I also have to blame myself. Then for one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, and now he is continuously speaking about the French language, the importance of French language, or the importance of not only French language, the importance of mother tongue, the national language. the importance, how we have to protect, how we to conserve. Now every countries, every nations are pursuing to protect, to preserve their own language, their own culture, their heritage, everything. And now he is talking about with his students, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest and the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it. Now he is suggesting his students that we have to guard it, we have to protect our language and never forget about our language. Anything we generally speak to each other, we write, we read, we have to preserve it. Because when a people are enslaved, when a people are under the rule of any another kingdom, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. So if as we are going to be enslaved, we are going to be a servant or slave of a different country, different people, but our language can hold us with each other. Our language can play a very sophisticated or very crucial role to build the relation between all the French people. And this is the key of our prison. If we are together, if we speak our language, if we are converse our language, so we can by doing struggle, by doing efforts, we can be get independence very soon. So we must first of all, what we have to preserve, first we have to preserve our language. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lessons. And then he opened the grammar book and read a chapter. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. And this time, today, I have understood this chapter very nicely, which he taught us. All he said seemed to so easy, so easy. I think to that never listen. I had never listened so carefully. Now today, the concentration which I put today only, I had ever never put, and now by paying full attention, I have understood this lesson very clearly without any doubt. And that he had never explained everything with so much patience. And now the teacher also put efforts to teach us to explain each and everything with very politely, with full patience. It seemed also as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away, and it was being observed, it was being looked at. The teacher, he was pretending that whatever is in his mind, in his heart, or in his whole body, the content, the knowledge about education, he want to deliver everything, but with full of politely, with full of patience, and to put it all in our heads at one stroke, at one hit, at one stroke, one hit, at once time. He wanted to deliver each and everything in his our mind. He wants to make us develop. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing, and now the second chapter or the second session was of writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us, and this time he had given us new copy for us, written in a beautiful round hand, France Alice, and everything was written in the copy was France Alice and France Alice. They looked like the little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom, hung from the road at the top of our desk. When we opened the copies, if these words were looking, that there were flags, small flags were floating each and every corner of the room, from over the desk, over the notebooks, bags, everywhere. Hung from the road at the top of the desk. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work, and you really need to see that day particular. Everyone were busy in their notebook, working, doing their work. How quiet it was, and this time when the writing session was going on, there was no noise of chirping, no noise of whispering. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. That there was only sound of a paper, that the pen was scratching. over the paper. This sound can be heard. Once some beetles flew in, some bee was floating here and there, and but nobody paid any attention to them. And that time nobody could see these beetles, not even the little ones. The small children also didn't pay any attention to these beetles, who worked right in tracing their fish hooks, as if that was French. And that was French too. And all the little ones were busy in the making their fish hook. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low. Cooed is a onomatopoeia, the sound of pigeons as the snake make a sound of hiss, and this is the also sound of pigeons coo. And I thought to myself, will they make them sign in German? Will they make them sing in German? Even the pigeons. Now, very important, the very important line of the chapter. Will they make them sign in German, even the pigeons? Now, here, who are they? They are Germany. Will they teach the German language to the animals, to the birds? Will they force them to teach, to sing, to recite each and everything in the German, even their own voice, not code in the French language, just code in the German language? Will they do a such type of activity with us? There are many things going on in the mind of French. That means that we will be like how to eat, how to behave. Like he is saying that we have to also. There is no any matter of mercy that we have to force. We have to develop each and every new things in our life from the initial stage, and our previous habits, previous things which we have to which we have become habitual of being observed, we or pretend, we have to leave each and everything, and now from the new beginning we have to start our life as if we want to live. Otherwise we have to suffer a lot. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Humble sitting motionless without movement in his chair and gazing first at one thing. He was looking at one thing and then second thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. So he was looking each and everything. First he was looking first that thing, and then second this thing and this thing, as he want to make a picture of whole environment of the school in his mind. Whenever he would apart the school from tomorrow, or after onwards tomorrow, he would remember, he would memorize each and everything by repeating, by reciting, or by keeping this image in his mind, that he would be a little bit get happy to see the environment where he used to spend almost 40 years of his life. As he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that schoolroom. Fancy, for 40 years he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. So he had been gardening 40 years, he had been teaching 40 years. Spending 40 years, not a short period of time, a whole almost more than half life he had spent at one place. So he is so associated, he is so connected with that land, with the people, the majority, the environment, the climate, everything. He is associated with it, and it will become so difficult, so panicful for him to leave this all the things which he is attached so closely, and his garden and everything. Just like that, only the desk and benches had been worn smooth. Now here, the benches and the desk will remain at the same place, and apart from it, everything will be changed. The whole direction, whole structure, infrastructure will be changed of the school. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hopvine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. Now here, twinned means tangled. Now they are tangled like the plant of hope wine. Hope wine is a kind of a wine, a kind of a whiskey or a kind of a alcohol which is contained, and he planted this plant for by himself, and it was coming through the windows to and touching to the roof. And there was a walnut tree. Walnut tree means, my dear students, badam tree, sorry, akhrot, akhrot. And hope wine and planted himself twine means tangled the windows of the roof. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, and how it would be painful to leave this whole things which he created by his own hands. He had to leave. How rude it would be. How broken his whole heart would be broken into many pieces when he would leave everything while holding his all the stuff briefcase, all the accessories. When he will leave, that time he will be definitely burst into tears. Oh, that's why he is saying poor man. Poor means how unfortunate man. The French is saying to in his mind to this M. Hamel while he was writing. Uh, to hear his sister moving about in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. And now, what was happening? The M. Hamel sister was packing each and every belongings in the trunks. So, because the next day they have to leave the country, but he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. But this man, M. Hamel, had the courage, he had the power, he heard, he saw each and every homework, the schoolwork which he gave to the students. Now he checked each and every students and personally. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted there, ba baby bobu, down there at the back of the room. Old Hosser had put on his spectacles and holding the primer in the both hand spelled the letters with them. Now here, what was happening over there? There was a history lesson was going on, and the Hosser, who was earlier a former mayor, who was just holding the primer in his hand and reciting the tables, spelled the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotions. Now Hauser was also crying, and his voice was trembling, was shivering, was making a different sound. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. How well I remember it, the last lesson. And it was a very funny moment that Hauser was crying, or also loud speaking, or reciting the table very loudly in also he was crying at that same time. And it was a very funny moment. We also wanted to laugh as well as cry because it was our last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12. Now the church clock was showing the 12 time. The time is 12 o'clock. Then the Angelus, it's a time of prayer time. That's why that after when the 12 clock is there, so there is a big buzz of bell is rung. So everybody got this attention in their mind that this is the prayer time for them. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Persian returning from drill, and there was a sound of trumpet, and it could be heard every aspects of the city. And it was time that their drill, their training is over. The army, the soldiers' training were over. Returning from drill sounded under our windows, and this window of clock tower and the drilling of the trumpet could be here from our window. M. Hamel stood up very pale in his chair, and I never saw. Now in his chair, I never saw him look so tall. And when he heard the sound of clock tower and trumpet, and he suddenly stood from his chair, and it was looking so big. I have ever never seen my teacher that he is so big. This day he was looking so tall. My friend said, but something choked him. He could not go on. Choked means something just exhausted him. Something just he couldn't spell. He couldn't speak the words which he wanted to say. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing with all his might, he wrote as large as he could. So what he did, he stood up, took a chalk, and started writing something on the board. He collected his all might, all power, and gathered at one stroke to write something. And in a very large, he could write, "Vive la France, long live France." Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and now he just bent his head towards the wall to have a relax, to have a rest. And without a word, he made gesture to us with his hand. He didn't speak anything, he just made a gesture by his hand. "School is dismissed, you may go. The school is dismissed, you may go." And this is the end of the chapter. Now my dear students, now the next part of this chapter, in which we will give you the brief summary as well as the important question answer of the chapter in the next video. So you will have to be very patient, and I'll explain you the important questions and a small answers and the big answers. It would be very, very beneficial to come in your exam paper. Thank you so much to be with me once again. Thanks.